Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about the one question that is going to change everything for you. This question is going to help you drop negative emotions and create the life you want, create your dream life. This is going to give you a completely emotional upgrade. Now, it's really hard for me to say that this is like the one question to change everything, because I teach self-coaching, right? And self-coaching is all about asking questions. It's about questioning your current reality so that you can begin to shift it. Literally, the thing I teach in my courses is that the key to self-coaching is to question everything, because there are so many beliefs, so many stories, so much conditioning that we are taught throughout our lives. So many things that we just blindly accept as truth. And those things dictate the course of our life, the creation of our life. They dictate who we are in the life we live. So until we start to question these things, our life will continue to remain the same. Until we start to question these things, we're unable to change our life. So this is really the question that for me changed everything. And the thing is that it's really, really, really simple. It's a simple question. So I want you to think about, do you ever have those days, those weeks, those months where you just feel like you are stuck in an absolute funk? Maybe you feel like you don't have any momentum. Maybe it's that you don't have any energy. Maybe you just feel like you're in this like negative state, right? Do you ever have those? We all do. The problem is we spend so much time in the negative stuckness of the present moment. We spend so much time thinking about how things aren't going the way we want, how we don't have the things we want, or the things that are going wrong in our lives. We spend so much time focusing on the negative of the present moment, or how we don't yet have what we want. And when we stay in this negative state, when we stay in the stuckness of thinking about how we don't yet have what we want, or thinking about all the things that are going wrong in our lives, it keeps us stuck. So if you want to make a change in your life, you need to first shift your thinking from what is wrong, from what you don't have, from what you don't want, from what is missing, to instead thinking about what you do want. Now, a really important nuance here is that I'm not talking about thinking about how you don't yet have what you want. There is a very big difference between thinking about what you want and thinking about how you don't have what you want. Now, it may seem subtle, but thinking about what you want should be a very positive, uplifting, exciting experience. Thinking about how you don't yet have what you want is really heavy. It feels really limiting. It feels really negative, and it just makes you feel stuck. So there is a very big difference here between thinking about what you want and thinking about how you don't yet have what you want. So really pay attention to that nuance as we continue on, okay? Now, it's not as easy though as just like starting to think about what you want and letting go of what you don't want, and then everything's sunshine and rainbows, right? It is a lot more complex than that. So it's really hard to make the leap, even just mentally, from where you are to where you want to be, especially if your current reality is so far from what you're actually desiring. So it's really hard to get into a place where you're always thinking about, being financially independent and traveling the world freely whenever you want all the time, when you're struggling right now to just pay your rent, right? It's really hard to make that shift, even just mentally, when the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels so massive. But this question that we're talking about in this video is the first step, because thinking about everything that's wrong in your life, thinking about all the negative things, thinking about what isn't working, thinking about how you don't yet have what you want, thinking about all the things that are wrong and missing and lacking and negative, that type of thinking just feels crappy, right? And that type of thinking is never going to get you to where you want to be. It's just going to keep you stuck in your current reality, kind of stuck in these similar negative wash cycles that you've been in for so long. So let's talk about the question that's going to change everything. All right, so the question is, how do I want to feel instead? How do I want to feel instead? That is it. It's that simple. How do I want to feel instead? This question cracked things open for me on my own self-growth journey. how do I want to feel instead? I think for so long, I just felt like how I felt was how I felt. It was how I felt. It was a part of my reality. It was just the way it was. It was how I was always going to feel. This is just how I felt. And what I realized is that that's not the case. If I want to, I can feel differently. If I want to, I can shift out of this state, out of this reality if I choose to. Then the question of how do you want to feel instead changes it all. So really think about this. Maybe right now you feel stressed. How do you want to feel instead? I want to feel calmer. Maybe right now you feel really angry at life, right? Well, how do you want to feel instead? I really want to feel happy, carefree, lighter. Maybe right now you feel stuck. You want to feel free. Maybe right now you feel broke and you want to feel abundant. So think about how you feel currently and then ask yourself, well, how do I want to feel instead? Start there. And then what you can do, once you see how you're currently feeling and how you want to feel, you can work with your current reality to create an emotional upgrade. And what I mean is to do something that helps you shift into that state. So take, for instance, say you're feeling really stressed. Well, ask yourself, what makes me feel calm, right? So if you're feeling stressed, you want to feel calm. What makes you feel calm? Well, if you think about it, maybe you're like, well, going for a stroll by the river, or maybe it's popping on headphones and doing a meditation. Maybe it's going to a yoga class. So if you want to feel calmer, what makes you feel calm? And then do that thing, right? So when you feel stress welling up inside of you and you think to yourself, how do I want to feel instead? I want to feel calmer. Okay, what makes me feel calmer? Going for a walk, doing a meditation, going to yoga. And you do that. And that will massively change your life. So let's do a couple more examples just so you can kind of see this. Because yes, it's simple, but it still takes some work to figure out where you are, where you want to be, and how to get there, right? Because that's different for everyone. So let's say right now you feel really stuck, but you want to feel more free. Okay, well, what makes you feel free? Maybe feeling free means having more control of your schedule. Now, depending on your life, you may feel like you only have so much control, right? If you work a 9-to-5 job, you're like, well, I can't just not go to my job and do what I want. That's totally fine. But what can you do to make you feel more in control of your schedule? Maybe it's as simple as scheduling in more time to do the things that you love, to do the things that are important to you, right? So maybe it's scheduling in time to hang out with friends. Maybe it's scheduling in time to do something you love, like paint, right? Maybe it's scheduling in time to take a class you want, okay? So how can you take back some control of your schedule by just scheduling in things that you care about, that are important to you, that you value, or that make you happy, that make you feel more like you? Okay, so then let's say you're feeling really broke, but you want to feel wealthy. All right, well, when you're feeling broke, what makes you feel wealthy? Work with your current reality. Now, I'm guessing that going out and blowing a few $1,000s on designer clothes is actually not going to make you feel wealthy. It's going to only make you feel guilty and therefore more broke, right? So what can you do working within your current reality, your current circumstances, to make you feel more wealthy? So maybe you feel wealthy when you're taking better care of yourself. When you're really prioritizing self-care, that makes you feel wealthier. So maybe it's a matter of making sure you're scheduling in time into your week to do a face mask, right? To have like a little at-home spa night where you light candles and you put on really relaxing music and you really take care of yourself, right? You take care of your skin, your body, right? Your mind, your emotional state. Scheduling in that self-care, making self-care a more regular ritual can make you feel wealthier in your own body, in your own life, right? Because you are doing something to take care of yourself, right? And maybe that makes you feel less broke, that makes you feel more wealthy, okay? So really think about what micro adjustments are gonna help you get from where you are to where you wanna be. So if you're feeling, like we said, if you're feeling stressed, you wanna feel calm, what makes you specifically feel that way? How can you make an upgrade, a micro adjustment? Maybe it's just shifting a thought pattern. Maybe it's just shifting a routine, right? Maybe it's adding in something to your schedule. Maybe it's taking something out. You know, how can you make these micro tweaks, these micro adjustments to your current life to help you shift into how you want to feel instead. And when you ever catch yourself in a state that feels icky, just ask yourself, well, how do I want to feel instead? How do I want to feel instead? Because you have so much control over shifting that emotional state. We can't always change external factors that trigger an emotional state, right? You can't change the fact that a guy cuts you off in traffic and immediately puts you into a state of anger, but you can choose how much power you give that anger. You can choose how long you stay in that state of anger. You can choose how much more energy you pour into that, right? You can feel angry and then you can choose to do something that helps you release that anger, helps you work through that anger, or you can choose to spiral in it, right? You know, negative emotions have this way of consuming us, right? Negativity feeds negativity, which feeds negativity, which feeds negativity. It's so often that something really like small can happen, right? Someone cuts you off and you get angry all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden you start spiraling downwards, right? You start spiraling about everything else that's going wrong in your life. And you're angry at your mom, and you're angry at your boyfriend, and you're angry at your friend because she didn't call you back. And you're angry at your boss because he didn't listen to that proposal. All of a sudden you start spiraling and spiraling and spiraling into this negative cyclone. And it can just suck you down and consume you. But the thing is positivity has the same effect. When you shift into a more positive state of being, when you ask yourself, okay, wow, I'm in this negative hate spiral. How do I want to feel instead? And you're like, I want to feel light. I want to feel carefree. I want to feel fun and playful. Okay, what makes you feel that way? And if you can start to shift into that state, you can also have a positive spiral up from there. You know, and I think too, something to consider is that if you're really in a bad place, if you're like, I am so angry and I want to feel light, sometimes going from angry to light can feel pretty drastic, pretty extreme, right? So you don't have to go from angry to light like that, right? Sometimes it can take you a little bit. I know I have been in like a terrible mental state, and it has taken me an entire, hour and a half yoga class to really shift out of it, right? Or maybe how I like to think about this, something I teach my clients is shifting through neutral. So think first of just what's going to take me from angry to neutral. I'm not saying you're happy. I'm not saying you're calm, but you're not angry anymore, right? How can you go from angry to neutral? And then once you're at that state of neutral, then how can you move into a calmer place, right? A lighter place, a more carefree place. So sometimes we have to baby step our way down, especially if kind of shifting out of emotional states isn't something that you have done before. If you've never asked yourself, how do I want to feel instead? This might feel really difficult at first. Like I said, there was a long period of my life where I felt like the way I was feeling was just like the way I was feeling. That was just the reality, right? Like, well, that's just how you feel, Kate, right? Like life happens, you feel this way, and that's it. And it took me a while to realize, no, that's so not the case. I have so much control over my emotional state. I have the choice to shift. I have the choice to choose again, right? When I'm in an emotion that I don't like, when I'm in an emotion that doesn't make me feel good, I have the choice to shift out of it. It is not a part of me. I am not anger. I am not stress. I am not calm, but I can be angry. I can be stressed. I can be calm. I can shift into these states because they're always in a place of flux, right? They're not a part of your personality. They're not a part of your identity. They don't have to be a part of your truth, a part of your story, right? You can shift at any point. Now, I think it's also important to make sure you're not just like taking negative emotions and like tucking them away in you and not dealing with them, right? I think part of this shifting process of how would I rather feel, there's also has to be some degree of working through that emotion, right? I think sometimes it's even just a level of acceptance of like, yeah, I'm angry right now. I'm angry because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, I can be angry, but I also want to feel calmer, and I can feel that way too. So what's going to get me there, right? So this isn't about taking all the negative emotions and shoving them in a box that eventually is going to like bust open and consume you later, right? At some point you have to deal with some emotions, especially things that are more rooted in events or things that have happened to you, right? Now, let's be honest, releasing the anger of the guy who cut you off, that really doesn't mean anything to you, right? It doesn't have a massive impact in your life, right? But processing your loneliness because your partner broke up with you, now that's a little bit different, right? Something to be conscious of is not to just take negative emotions or icky emotions or hard emotions or resistant emotions and just shoving them away. But make sure you're taking the time to work through those, right? And incrementally process those emotions and then shift into a different state. Because yes, you get to choose how long you're in an emotional state, but you also need to process it fully to be able to move to a new emotional state, right? Like we were talking about, like the loneliness of a partner leaving you, for instance. It's hard to go from lonely to like happy and carefree, right? It might take some time. Give yourself that time. Give yourself that grace. Process that. But you also don't have to let loneliness become a part of who you are. It doesn't have to become a part of your personality. It doesn't have to become a part of your identity. It doesn't have to define your future. You can choose to shift into a different state. So remember to keep asking yourself this question: how do I want to feel instead? Your power lies there. You have control there. You have a choice there. How do you want to feel instead? All right, you guys, I hope you really enjoyed today's video. If you really like this concept that we were talking about today, I would highly recommend you check out this video I recently created that it was all about letting your past self die off so that you can step into your next level self. And we actually talk about this question very briefly in that video, but it just kind of adds another layer to this concept. And it's going to really go really well hand in hand in this. And another video you could dig into is one that I did recently that was talking about how to shift from the energy of where you are into the energy of where you want to be. And a lot of shifting your energy has to do with shifting your emotional state. So both of those videos are going to really tie into this and really take all of this to the next level. So I cannot recommend you guys checking those out enough. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys next time.